as they have put more than 600 people inside the Capitol Rotunda, including many of the lawmakers and dignitaries.
Escorting the President of the United States and the Vice President of the United States, ranking member of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Deb Fischer, House Democratic Leader, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, and Senate Majority Secretary, the Honorable Robert Duncan. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden Jr., and Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Kamala Devi Harris.
Building where his career was forged, the U.S. Capitol led to the U.S. presidency. But in a way, as Senator Blunt knows, President Biden has always thought about the Capitol, in a sense, as home.
Wrapping up nearly 5 decades of public service, and a standing ovation there for the President of the United States as the crowd waits.
Escorting the Vice President-elect, the Executive Director for the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Mr. Michael Wagner, Senate Deputy Sergeant-at-Arms and Doorkeeper.
Wrapping up nearly 5 decades of public service, and a standing ovation there for the President of the United States as the crowd waits.
Escorting the Vice President-elect, the Executive Director for the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, Mr. Michael Wagner, Senate Deputy Sergeant-at-Arms and Doorkeeper, Jason Bell, and House Deputy Sergeant-at-Arms, Mr. Sean Keating.
The schedule calls for the Vice President-elect to be sworn in first.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President-elect of the United States, the Honorable JD Vance.
And Robert, a remarkable moment for JD Vance, a noted author who was well regarded by a number of Democrats, who then made his way into the United States Senate and became very close with the Trump family, and now is the future Vice President of the United States.
A remarkable and rapid political ascent for this 40-year-old man from Ohio, went to Yale Law School, wrote about his tough upbringing in Southern Ohio. Hillbilly Elegy becomes a runaway bestseller, captivates people in the business community across the country. And
Ron Howard makes a movie out of it.
And he's originally a critic of President-elect Trump, but then had a reckoning and became perhaps his biggest ally.
Ceremonies, Elizabeth Farah, House Sergeant-at-Arms, the Honorable William P. McFarland, Senate Sergeant-at-Arms and Doorkeeper, the Honorable Jennifer A. Hemingway, Senate Majority Leader, the Honorable John Thune, and the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, House Democratic Leader, the Honorable Hakeem Jeffries, House Majority Leader, the Honorable Steve Scalise, Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Honorable Mike Johnson, Senate Democratic Leader, the Honorable Charles E. Schumer, Ranking Member of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Deb Fischer, and Chairwoman of the Joint Congressional Committee on Inaugural Ceremonies, the Honorable Amy Klobuchar. Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
Let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Nancy Cordes. Nancy, we're just getting some breaking news about President Biden pardoning members of his own family. Why?
That's right, Nora. With just 20 minutes or so left in his presidency, we've just gotten word from President Biden that he is pardoning his brothers, their wives, his sister, other family members. He says that he is doing this because basically baseless and politically motivated investigations wreak havoc on the lives of individuals. Obviously, the message he's sending is that he believes that the Biden family will be targeted after he leaves office by the incoming administration, and he wants to head that off.
Remarkable.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated.
Absolutely remarkable, John. I can't think of blanket pardons for every member of your family.
No, and it's a reminder that despite the pleasantries in the ceremony and both sides applauding for each other and all that looks normal, ringed around this ceremony is the politics in America right now, and Joe Biden is anticipating something and acting to head it off.
The statement says there's no acknowledgement of any wrongdoing nor acceptance that it be misconstrued as a mission of guilt. So legally, you'd have to talk to a legal analyst about whether preemptive pardons for crimes not yet committed or no documentation of crimes committed or even charges brought stands.
But the timing and the optics, I think, don't help here.
Welcome to the 60th presidential inauguration.
Be still and know that I am God, supreme among the nations, supreme on the earth. Let us pray. Remembering General George Washington on his knees at Valley Forge, recalling Abraham Lincoln at his second inaugural, with malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right as God gives us to see the right. Remembering General George Patton's instructions to his soldiers as they began the Battle of the Bulge 8 decades ago: pray. Pray when fighting, pray alone, pray with others, pray by night, pray by day. Observing the birthday of the Reverend Martin Luther King, who warned, without God, our efforts turn to ashes.